Friday. Welcome to the Colby Daniels podcast, presented by Artisan Botanicals in Midwest City. Check out their line of natural medicine products, including Kratom, CBD, and Delta 8. If you're unfamiliar with these products or their benefits, don't hesitate to give Artisan Botanicals a call. 405-458-9699. They have a staff that's dedicated to helping you live a better life, so it's all about educating yourself. Not to mention, we are saving you 15% when you order online. So place your order online, use the discount code ColbyShow, and you save 15% off your order, abotanicalcompany.com. All right, it is Draft Friday, so we have Aaron Davis and Zach Lancaster joining me for this week's draft. I am joined by Aaron Davis and Zach Lancaster as it is another Draft Friday. Today we are drafting sports bucket list items, and basically the genesis for this idea was everything happening this week. We've got the Final Four coming up this weekend. We had opening day yesterday, and I was having a conversation with a friend of mine about how cool opening day is and where it ranks on all-time great sports lists and how cool Final Four is. And, there's obviously everybody's going to have maybe a different list as far as their favorite events, but that was the genesis for this idea. So I thought, let's just draft sports bucket list items, things that you want to attend. Again, I've had the opportunity to do like opening day, for example, and it's just unbelievable. And I don't know how many people probably appreciate it if you've never been to it. So it's this will be fun. I'm excited, and we have some versatility here in probably the sports that we enjoy watching. But there are certain things obviously that supersede maybe your overall interest as far as just what the atmosphere might be like. So, you guys all set?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Quick question. So this is only like things that we could go to in the future, right? Like that we can't do like, I wish I would have been at blank.
Yeah. No, this isn't like I want to go watch like Babe Ruth in 1917. This is this is just like you're making a list. This is what you're going to be able to attend in the future, like this certain event. It can be like a rivalry game. It can be, whatever you want it to be. So, All right. So, random order. I am selecting first. Zach is selecting second. Aaron is selecting third. As always, it's a snake draft, so Aaron will have back-to-backs at 3 and 4, and it loops back the other way. All right. So, with the first overall pick, I'm going to take one that I think is just value overall. Not to mention, for me at least, I've had 2 different opportunities to potentially attend this thing, and both times it's fallen through. A year ago, I was supposed to go, and COVID happened, and I for the second time, I wasn't able to do this. So this is number 1 overall pick, even though I'm going to give it away here, even though I'm not like the world's biggest golf fan. I am a golf fan. I'm just not like the fanatic. But despite that, I think the Masters just supersedes any of that. So again, because I've been heartbroken twice with canceled Masters trips, I'm going Masters number 1 overall.
Solid. That's a solid pick. I'm with you. I'm not big golf, but I wouldn't mind going to the Masters. To me, this is like personal to me. And it's still huge, but because of my grandfather, I'm big into NASCAR now. So I would love to be at the Daytona 500 when the season starts, couple 100,000 people. So that's, to me, that's a big bucket list.
That's awesome. Right. I've never been to a NASCAR race, but
it'll change your life.
I have some friends that are NASCAR fans, and look, I'm not even a watch it on TV fan, but I've been told that nice. I've been told that being there live is as good as any sports event there is.
Yeah, so I went with him. Would have been 2016. Like I grew up watching it with my dad and grandpa, whatever, but it was never big to me. And me and my dad, my brother, my grandpa went down to Texas in 2016, and it's one of the coolest experiences. If you go, you're hooked, and you won't want to do anything else.
Yeah, I mean, how many sports do you have an opportunity to catch a tire? You can get a foul ball in a baseball game, but you catch a tire at a NASCAR race.
That was something I wasn't expecting. You get covered in little flakes of rubber as the race goes on. It's really a crazy thing. Yeah, and you can smell the fuel burning. It's really sweet. It's an overall insane experience.
Is it true? Again, I've just been told this. is it true that the television experience is just nothing like what you're actually getting if you're there? That's what I've always heard. Like and I know that there are a lot of sports like that, but I've heard that it's so extreme in NASCAR.
Yeah, it doesn't compare at all. Like going to a race, you can appreciate the TV experience more. But I mean, you literally feel it in your bones.
Yeah.
Like your heart rattles around, and you got to wear earplugs or you can't hear for 2 or 3 days, and you get covered in rubber. I would say that NASCAR is probably the most fan friendly sport. So like they let you onto the track before the race. I mean, all of the drivers are doing introductions. You get to like meet and greets. I mean, it's huge. You have to go.
Nice.
Covers all 5 of the senses. You get
Yeah, it
smell,
does.
taste.
Yeah, truly.
All right. So I really look, my first pick, I think I could probably just take it with my last pick. I don't think there's any threat of it being taken, but I'm just gonna be genuine. It's the top of my list, even though it may not play well with a lot of people on this side of the pond. Going into a Liverpool game at Anfield. Again, I don't even care who it's against. It could be against Man United. It could be against Everton. I don't care. I've spent 20, 30 years almost experiencing American sports and like the way that we absorb everything. And then like everything's a little bit slower and a little calmer, I think, over here. I want to go experience sports in a different world because I honestly feel like the way that sports in Europe are, fans are, quote unquote.
Yeah.
It's completely different. And I want to experience it. I'm a big Liverpool fan, and I want to go through the whole thing. I want to sing "You'll Never Walk Alone" with 70,000 people like they do before every match at Liverpool. It's crazy. Like I became a fan of soccer over the past like 3 years only because the environments and the games are just insane.
Nice.
You should be glad you chose that first because that was English Premier League game in London was actually second on my list.
Oh, wow. Okay. So there we go. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad I picked it then. Yeah. I feel like it's one of those sports like college football to me and soccer and European soccer, whether it's English Premier League or La Liga in Spain, like those are the only 2 things where I feel like I watch it on TV and I feel like the crowd is a presence.
100%.
Yeah, there's so much passion involved in both of those things, right? Like people literally like live and die by the action that's taking place, and they like schedule their like season around start times and games and all that. Like unlike things that baseball, which happens every day for 162 days.
Right. Yeah, I mean, how many baseball games have there been riots started at? There's probably been dozens of soccer game matches where there's been a riot.
Yeah, unless it's like a Dodgers-Giants game, then yeah.
Well, yeah, okay, well, yeah, that's fair. That's after the game, though. These are like riots.
That's true. That's true. That's after the game in the parking lot. All right, back-to-backs for you, Aaron.
All right. So, I mentioned the crowds in college football and European soccer being similar. I'm gonna go college football here. It's been on my bucket list, been the top of my college football bucket list for a while. I would love to go to a Penn State whiteout. Obviously it's gonna be a big game. They don't do the whiteouts just for anybody, so I'm assuming it's gonna be like an Ohio State or a Michigan or somebody. I would love to go to State College, right? Is that the name of the town?
Yeah, State College in Happy Valley.
Yeah, I would love to go to State College and be a part of a whiteout. I don't know. I'm a sucker for like coordinated fan colors in the stands. Like when OU stripes the stadium, I'm like, okay, that's cool. But you always have those, yahoos that wear like the wrong color. But it's okay.
Yeah, that would be cool. So I'm going something that I didn't think I was gonna go with on my second pick, but COVID is really kind of zap the fan experience across the board. And so I'm double vaccinated. I got my chip updated last week. I'd have to say that something that I want to experience when everything gets back would have to be a Duke, North Carolina basketball game.
Nice.
That experience is unlike anything that you see in college basketball. I don't care where it is. I don't care if it's in Chapel Hill. I don't care if it's at Duke.
I was about to say you gotta pick
way.
whether it's happening at at Chapel Hill or in Cameron or.
Yeah, I'll go Cameron.
Okay.
I think that experience, they're right on top of you. I think that'd be more exciting. So Duke, North Carolina.
Duke, North Carolina, with the Cameron Crazies.
Yeah.
I Googled like sports bucket list just to, do a little bit last minute research after I put my big board together. And they have the Final Four in the top 7. I don't think the Final Four would be anywhere near as good of an experience as going to Cameron Indoor or going to Allen Fieldhouse. Like, it's just, I would take going to see a game at those places over Final Four any day.
Well, especially since they switched it to these large arenas. I mean, I get that you want to cram as many people as you can, but it's so spread out. I feel like it's just not a thing. Like the court is far away from everybody, and it's just a weird look.
Yeah, that's a great pick, and that was definitely on my big board as well. All right, so I think this is the fun part about doing these drafts is I always make a big board and I have it ranked, and then depending on like what other people do, sometimes I rearrange the order in my head as we go. So this is one that I'm, for fear that it might get taken, and I thought maybe I would be safe with this one till later. I'm just going to get it now. And look, this one might be, if I'm being honest, this one might be at the very top of my list, and it's probably more because of the venue than anything else. But I've seen video of this place, I've seen photos, and I think just the overall experience of the whole thing would just be unlike anything you've ever mentioned. Zach, you kind of talked a little bit about Daytona and just what the sensory overload that you get as far as just being there in person. So I'm going to stick with racing. I'm going to go overseas. I'm going to the Grand Prix in Monaco. Again, I think as far as just a picturesque setting and getting to experience something, that to me might be number one overall. Again, I thought I could probably get it later, but I'm a little fearful that one of you guys might take it. So I'm going to go Grand Prix Monaco.
And that's a good one. I didn't even think about it, but I've said to people before, like, I need to go to Monaco. I need to go there and feel like the poorest person on earth.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Colby, again, be lucky that you chose it now, because Grand Prix was on my next in order. Ugh, what is wrong with you people?
Yeah, I thought that when you took Daytona immediately, I was like, okay, well, I better move that one up, because I thought that I just might get some value there. But yeah, that, again, like when you just look at the photos and the video and everything from that thing every year, like, look, I would just like to go there anyway, even when the Grand Prix is not happening. But you add the sporting event and just the whole thing to it. That to me is just an unbelievable setting for that sort of race, and the streets are all blocked off, and it's so cool. So Grand Prix Monaco is my number 2 pick, and I have back-to-backs here with some stuff that, man, I'm a little bit torn. So I've got the Masters. I've got Grand Prix Monaco. Let's go with a World Cup final. Aaron kind of mentioned just the soccer craze. You add like an entire country and their heritage and reputation and all of that on the line, and the singing and just the whole spectacle that is the World Cup. A World Cup final is next on my list.
Nice. Yeah, I had that a little bit further down. That was going to be a safety pick. So I'm sticking with my my singular game. I'm not taking an entire event. I'm going to go Yankees Red Sox in Fenway Park. You want to talk about heated rivalry and just intense from start to finish. I think going to Fenway and watching the Yankees Red Sox doesn't even have to be. It could just be like a middle of June game. Doesn't even need to be a playoff game or anything like that. I think that'd be a hell of a thing.
I was planning on taking that in my top 5 as well at Fenway. So yeah, that's a great pick.
If it were old Yankee Stadium, then maybe, but it has to be at Fenway now.
And you're going to get your money's worth. The game's going to last at least 5 hours.
100%. And there you'll probably see a brawl.
Probably, yeah. You'll see about 30 walks, probably 5-hour game. You're gonna get your money's worth. You're gonna leave there ready to go. But,
only if Pedro
all right.
Martinez and Don Zimmer throw out the first pitches and then have a brawl before the game starts.
Yeah.
Would be awesome. All right, so I'm a big sucker for tradition, and obviously, I mean, I went with Liverpool and Penn State, like big tradition things. I'm gonna go with another tradition, also another whiteout. Coincidentally, I'm gonna go Wimbledon. I would love to be at a Wimbledon final, but I'll settle for any day of Wimbledon. But I would love to be there for a final. I don't care if it's women's or men's. If I see Serena Williams win a Wimbledon final, or Federer or Rafael Nadal. Sorry, I'm not a big tennis guy, obviously, but still, great environment, a lot of fun, and hell, I can fly over to England, knock that out, and go to a Liverpool game possibly. So
there you go.
2 birds, 1 stone.
Well, and you can take a short little trip over to Monaco, jump on a rail, and go to Monaco.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Look at you.
What we need to do is just all take like a group rate, and then each of us can go to our events separately.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Man, I'm getting low a little bit because these are like the Liverpool and then the Duke game or the Penn State game are like definitely the top 2. Monaco was up there that I completely forgot about, which is stupid by me, but I would love to go to a Game 7 of an NBA Final or a Stanley Cup, but I think I'd probably prefer NBA. I talked about like college sports, college football specifically, and European soccer being kind of those only sports I watch on TV where I feel the crowd.
Yeah.
But I know that the NBA crowds can be there because I was at the this Thunder Warriors game when KD returned, and like the crowd was that you could feel them. But I feel like you don't really get that 98% of the time. But a Game 7, you can feel them. And who doesn't love a Game 7? I mean, it's the best thing in sports, right? Is a Game 7
Absolutely.
of a championship series. So give me the NBA Finals Game 7. Hopefully it was not in like Minnesota or something. Hopefully I get something good.
Yeah, I'm going back off continent. Another pandemic pick here. One of the earlier sports we got to watch was Korean baseball, and so you go to a full stadium at a Korean baseball game. That I think that would just be absolutely electric because it's same kind of fan involvement. Well, I guess not the exact same, but similar fan involvement that you would get like an English Premier League game. They're super involved, lots of chants. I think that'd be a hell of a lot of fun. Very
nice. All right, I'm really glad this one made it to me. I was taking a little bit of a risk by moving it down the list, and it might have gotten away, but it's still available, and Aaron scared me a little bit when he said or Stanley Cup final. So give me a Game 7 of a Stanley Cup final. I became a Blackhawks fan about 10 years ago, and luckily in that time, the Blackhawks have been in their share of Stanley Cups. But even watching it on television, you're almost nauseous with every shot that's taken because there's just so much energy and emotion and intensity, and just like one shot can completely change the game. And when goals are at a lot like soccer, when goals are at a premium with that much on the line, the intensity is just off the charts. So to be there in person, and again, I don't really care the teams. Obviously, if my team were in it, it would be better. But to just be in the building for a Game 7 Stanley Cup final, that at the end of that night, somebody is going to skate the cup. That would be incredible.
Bro, that's how I feel watching an NHL game in January. I'm nauseous. I'm so nervous watching it. Any game, like especially if it's like the last 10 minutes of the third period, I'm like about to barf. It's so stressful. But I think that teams probably would matter in this because I think you're going to have a way better experience if you're a team in the North, like a Detroit or a Toronto or Winnipeg or something like that, as opposed to if it's Phoenix. Like I think the teams do matter a little bit in this.
Like if it were the Dallas Stars against the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you get like
Probably
an
not watching
original
that.
6 matchup, you're going to have a way better experience, I think.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you go back a few years to Chicago, Boston. That was one of the better Stanley Cups we've had in a while. Go
Yeah.
Bruins! Go Bruins! By the way, Colby.
Boo, boo. Yeah. No, it's man, it's just what like go even just watching an entire like playoff run to like every game just feels like it has so much more weight than like an NBA playoff run. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
even in the NBA playoffs, it's obviously way more intense than in the regular season, but it still just feels like, yeah, it's a playoff game, but I feel like in the Stanley Cup playoffs, every game almost feels like a game 7. And then the game 7s feel like it's just, times a million. It's wild. So,
Well, and you get those guys that make it that much more better because they're playing with like a collapsed lung or
yeah.
several fractured ribs and a broken foot, and they're giving it all they got.
Yeah. All right, and to wrap up my list, this is tough. Give me a World Series Game 7. So a couple of Game 7s in my draft. World Series Game 7. Ideally, you would have like, it's 2 aces on the mound, and you're able to, regardless of the teams, but you're able to get a really good pitching matchup would be the most ideal situation. And if it becomes a 13-11 game, so be it. But I think for me, it's just more exciting to go into a game knowing that both guys on the mound are capable of just completely shutting the other team down. That to me gets me more excited going into a game than the other way around. So give me a Game 7 World Series matchup.
So
and if it were at Fenway or Wrigley or Dodger Stadium, that would be the most ideal situation.
Absolutely. So being born in July, I've always had an affinity for All-Star break. I love me watching. Love the home run derby, All-Star game, the celebrity softball game. It means absolutely nothing. It's almost like an NBA All-Star game. Let's just throw out some ridiculous matchups. But I think going to an All-Star break weekend, I think would just be so much fun watching some of the league's best, just belt homer after homer after homer and getting to watch that All-Star game. So give me MLB All-Star weekend. I think that'd be a hoot.
That was on my list also.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Last pick, right? Last pick of the draft.
Last pick of the draft.
All right. I think this one's probably an easy one for me. Hands down, I gotta go see a Sunflower Showdown football game. I'm joking. I don't want to see a Kansas State football game.
One of like 50 people.
Exactly. So intimate. It'd be such an intimate college football experience. No. Last pick. I want to go see an All Blacks game. Obviously, I know nothing about rugby at all. Like, I'd have to do some research to understand what's going on. But to go see the haka before the game or after the game, I don't even know what they do. That shows how little I know about rugby. But it just New Zealand national team. Got to go see them. I don't care who they're playing. It doesn't matter. But go see an All Blacks match and experience rugby. See what the rest of the world loves. See what's up with Australia.
That's a nice pick. The theme, I think, with all of this is, the experience more than maybe what you're actually watching. That's at least the feeling I get, right? Like that's more valuable, I think, than what the actual content is.
I mean, if you weren't going for the experience, you just stay home and watch it on TV. Because you're the viewing experience of actually watching them play the game is way better at home.
Yeah, because I don't care for Duke or North Carolina like at all. The Michael Jordan story with North Carolina is fun, but I don't sit down and watch Duke North Carolina, in my living room. I think going to either Chapel Hill or Cameron Indoor would just be a wild experience. Same thing with like going to the Kentucky Derby. Like I like watching the Kentucky Derby, but I think I don't really know much about horses. I couldn't bet on horses. Like Robert Allen can sit down and read a newspaper, and he could probably give you, the exact finishing order and the times they're going to finish, but I know nothing about it. But I think going to the Kentucky Derby and feeling like one of the poorest people on the planet, I think would be great.
Yeah, Kentucky Derby was on my list also. And, I think nobody picked the Super Bowl, which, at one point in time probably would have been on my list. I don't know that it is anymore. And look, my list has obviously changed over the years, because if you rewind like 10 years ago, going to the Rose Bowl would absolutely be in my top 5. And I've had the opportunity to do it. So again, I think just talking about the experience of things, I would rather experience something that I've not experienced. And that's why I didn't draft the Rose Bowl. But I mean, in terms of just like having that opportunity to sit in that stadium and see the mountains and the sunset and, the football in front of you, like there's nothing like it. That's one of my favorite sports experiences that I've ever had. I've just done it, so it didn't get selected on my list. But if I had never been there, that might have been number 1 or 2 for me.
Yeah, if we're talking about events or sporting things that we want to cover, the Super Bowl would be on my list. Like to go spend a week at the Super Bowl and cover the Super Bowl and whatever, aspect that might be, if it was radio or whatever, that's different. I would love to do that. But yeah, going to the Super Bowl as a fan, it's never really appealed to me, at least not, like you said, not in recent years.
Yeah. Like I had further down, I had like the College World Series. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I haven't been to the new ballpark. I would have loved to have seen one at Rosenblatt. Just the atmosphere. And a dark horse. I put WrestleMania down because
that's a good one.
That's a really good one. Yeah.
Because wrestling fans are just wild.
Yeah.
And I remember growing up watching wrestling and how much fun and how much energy it had. So going to WrestleMania would be like, if I had to do like a 6th man of the year, it'd be WrestleMania.
Yeah. College World Series is another one that I've been fortunate enough to go to, and probably would have been on my list if I had never been there. It's amazing. It's a lot like we talked about the atmosphere of like a college football game. That's what Omaha's like when the College World Series is happening. There are so many fan bases there that their team may not even be in Omaha, but there's like when I was there, there were LSU fans everywhere, and LSU wasn't even in the World Series that year, but there are LSU fans that literally just book their ticket every year hoping their team makes it, and then they make the trip anyway. And sometimes they go to the games. Like I talk to a lot of people. Sometimes they go to the games. Sometimes they sell their tickets. The tailgating scene outside the stadium is absolutely bananas. I mean, there are thousands of people that bring their grills and they're cooking out, and people are just, playing cornhole and just getting shit-faced. And like it is a spectacle. It's an unbelievable scene. And then obviously inside the ballpark, you get college baseball in an NCAA tournament-like setting. So that is an amazing event. You mentioned the Final Four earlier as opposed to like Duke, North Carolina. I'm with you. I think Duke, North Carolina, and I've been to a Final Four, the Final Four and the championship game, and it was at AT&T Stadium. And unless you are, there's a very few seats in the entire place that are good viewing seats. And yeah, you're just not going to get, I think, a really great experience with the whole Final Four situation.
Like the NCAA announced a few months ago that they had lost like $700 million or something like that, not playing March Madness last year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I understand the money aspect of wanting to cram, 60, 70, 80,000 people in a football stadium, but it doesn't seem as fun as cramming someone, cramming 16,000 in the Chesapeake.
Right.
I just don't, the energy just isn't there.
Yeah. Anything else on your list that you might have taken if we had more picks?
Maybe a really intense Green Bay Packers game at Lambeau. You get 12 inches of snow on the ground. It's 15 degrees outside. I think experiencing a Lambeau leap, I think in person would be really, really cool.
Yeah, that's a good one too, especially I think just the atmosphere of Lambeau outside of the stadium, how it's just in the middle of a neighborhood. Like there's people that live in the houses a block away from Lambeau Field, which when we're done with this, I'm immediately getting on Zillow to see what the value of those homes are, because they have to be absolutely insane.
It's like an 800 square foot house for 300 grand.
Right. I'm really upset that I didn't think about WrestleMania too, because I was a huge wrestling fan as a kid, which a lot of us were, our age. But WrestleMania is still like the one wrestling show every year that I'll watch, and I typically just watch it because it's so like over the top, especially since they started doing it in football stadiums. Like to see 80,000 people at a freaking wrestling show, and watching the wrestlers like walk to the ring, and it takes them a minute because they're walking from one end zone to the other, basically. That's a good one. I have been to a World Series game. It wasn't a Game 7. It was Game 4 of the 2005 World Series. It was still good, though. I mean, it was still up to that point. Like, I had only been to regular season MLB games, and like it doesn't compare because we all know they play 162 games, and the crowds just aren't the same. So yeah, a World Series game is awesome.
When you had that element of like holding your breath with every pitch, the weight of every play just means so much more. I'm with you.
Yeah, and that game I went to was 1-0, and it was it was literally holding your breath every pitch, and then freaking watching the White Sox celebrate after the game. That sucked.
Yeah. I had Ohio State at Michigan.
Yeah.
I've been to both stadiums, the Horseshoe and the Big House. I think the atmosphere outside the Big House is better, honestly. So that I would probably prefer to go to it at Michigan, but I've never seen that rivalry. I think that's a great one. I also had, as far as college football goes, Alabama at LSU. To be at Death Valley, especially like at night for those two teams, that would be an unbelievable atmosphere.
The problem with the Ohio State Michigan game is who's going to win. So
right,
about halftime, you're probably going to be like, all right, Ohio State's up
by 31. Yeah. we can go now.
One fantasy thing on my bucket list that it'll never happen, but I would give anything for it to happen just once. I would love to see an OU Texas home and home.
I don't know.
No?
I think
the Cotton Bowl's awesome with it being split, but I just I don't know. I would maybe because it's just they never do it and it's never been done. I would just be curious to see what the environment like. 'Cause I don't know. I guess because I've been to so many games at Gaylord and I've been so frustrated by the environment. Especially in the student section that I'm just.
Well, and the same thing in Austin, right? Like there's nothing super special about going to a game in Austin either. So I
think an NBA game, like you're talking fantasy, like you want to talk about like NBA Game 7, NBA Finals Game 7, Lakers, Celtics, either in the Garden or in the Staples Center. I think that would just be electric.
Yeah. If we want to go the fantasy route, how about like just you happen to be at Rucker Park on a day that like some NBA pros show up and start running up and down.
That would be good. A Drew League game would be a lot of fun. Yeah, that would be cool.
I wish boxing were still as big as it were, because I think going to a heavyweight championship fight would be electric. It'd be like going to a McGregor Habib championship fight.
Yeah, that I was going to put. So I've been to a UFC pay-per-view with a title on the line, and that is also just an incredible atmosphere. But for me, I think to draft that, it's so dependent on the card, I think, and the main event matchup to supersede something like the Masters. So
it's where the fantasy aspect comes into it.
Yeah. So if it's like for example, if it's Francis Ngannou, John Jones for the heavyweight title, yes, that probably gets drafted in my top 5. That would be unbelievable.
I was listening to a podcast the other day, and one of the people on there was kind of describing what it's like to be at a UFC event. And I have never been one. Cole, you've been one. Maybe you can, attest to this. But if there's a sense of, when the music hits for whatever fighter's coming out, maybe especially if it's a main event, if it's like a John Jones or Habib or something, that like, this guy that's walking out of that tunnel is the baddest person in that building. And like the entire, like the air out of the arena just dissipates because that guy could literally just kill anybody in that arena.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And so I've been to a couple pay-per-view or a couple UFC events. One of them was a pay-per-view. And there were multiple fights in the stands
Yeah.
throughout that event.
Yeah.
Naturally, yeah.
Which I
A lot
also
of
thought was,
testosterone
like
flip.
you're watching the fight in the octagon, and the next thing you know, like 2 sections over, all of a sudden you just hear like this ruckus, and it's just like this melee, and you're like, what the hell is happening? Like, why the hell are you guys fighting? You're here to watch fighting.
They're inspired.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, it's that's an awesome event, and the one I went to was Johnny Hendricks fighting Robbie Lawler for the belt, and literally in the 5th round, it was tied 2-2 with like 30 seconds left. The 5th and deciding round was pretty even and could have gone either way, and so like it's literally like it's coming down to like a walk-off type situation, and then Johnny Hendricks gets a takedown like in the final 30 seconds of the fight, and like the whole place knows like that wins it as long as he stays on top. So the whole place just and like holy cow, it was crazy. And then Dana puts the belt on him, and obviously it was in Dallas. Dallas is a very pro Johnny Hendricks town, so
Yep.
like the place just went nuts. It was such a cool scene.
I don't know what the atmosphere would be like, but I think going to like a one of the winter classics for the NHL, going to watch hockey and like watch the Bruins play in Fenway,
Absolutely.
or maybe Lake
where
Tahoe.
did they have it this year where the ice was melting and
like they had it at Lake Tahoe.
Yeah.
They had to wait like 9 hours until nighttime so the ice could refreeze because the sun kept melting it.
But yeah, I mean that's another one of those like to just see the photos of that. It's just like one of the most gorgeous things you've ever seen.
I thought it was fake. I had been so out of pocket when it came to hockey this year that I didn't know that they were doing the Winter Classic at Lake Tahoe.
Yeah.
And so when I originally saw like the promo photos or some of like the promo videos, I was like, I don't know what this is. Are they shooting commercials? Like what is? And then sure enough, they're out there at Lake Tahoe playing hockey.
How about this? Would you guys go to this? I think it was very interesting. It could be a lot of fun. It also was one of the worst basketball games I've ever seen in my life. I don't remember who was playing. Do you remember when they played the games on the aircraft carrier? Like maybe like 10 years ago.
Oh yeah, it was like North Carolina, Michigan State.
Yeah, and the games were terrible because they're playing on an aircraft carrier, and it's probably 30-mile-an-hour winds at least. You're trying to shoot a basketball, but that still seems like it'd be a lot of fun because it's so unique, and you're still getting like you could still tell yourself like this is North Carolina and Kansas or whatever. Like these are the Blue Bloods, and I'm watching them on a freaking aircraft carrier.
To be there in person, yes, that would be spectacular.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Did you guys consider any Olympic events?
Maybe I think it would have to be kind of like a fantasy type situation. Like if it were like a Michael Phelps, like a Michael Phelps relay, and it came down to him to win the gold for the U.S. and he had to come from behind. Maybe something like that. A little bit further down my list would be like an Army-Navy football game. I think watching Army Navy would be really, really cool at Heinz Field or Heinz Stadium or whatever. Maybe they're on the Navy campus, but I think a service academy game would be. I would probably choose that over the Olympics if I'm being honest.
I did consider a gold medal hockey game in the Winter Olympics, but it also would have to be very specific fantasy. Like it would have to be. Like the host country would have to be in the gold medal game.
Like USA, Soviets back in the 80s.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Like if it was a USA Canada game and like the Olympics were in Salt Lake or something again, like that. Yeah, for sure. But if I'm watching Russia and Sweden in Toronto, like, it doesn't really do much for me.
Zach made a great point with the fantasy thing. Cause like if Michael Phelps is swimming for a gold, then I would love to be there. Or same thing with like if Usain Bolt is running the 100 or the 200, then that probably does it for me. But I don't know that I would choose that over something else if it's just if it's not Usain Bolt. My favorite Olympic event, period, winter or summer, is always the downhill skiing. But I don't know that would be great to watch live because you can't watch the entire race, right? Like you're set up in one spot where you might see somebody like zoom by at 120 miles an hour for like 2 seconds. And so I don't know that would be great to watch live.
You're at the bottom of the hill watching it on a screen.
Right.
I think it would have to depend on the event. Like if it's swimming, or if it's like track and field and you're in the arena, but like cross country skiing, you're there for like 5 hours and
Yeah.
you see them show up with their rifles and you don't no idea who they are.
Right.
Well, yeah, the Olympics is just like it's 98% just kind of like filler, I guess, until you get to like the 5 or 6 events, gold, like at the gold medal, where like it really gets intense. But before that, it's just there's so many trials and everything, and it lasts so long that you really need to be there for a specific day and event. What about wrestling, like NCAA championships or like Olympic wrestling?
Yeah, so I've covered like the state, like Oklahoma State wrestling, like this high school state, and that atmosphere is really really cool. I haven't had a chance to go to a national championship, but I would have to think that it would just be like the atmosphere would be 100 times the state high school championships. I think that would be a lot of fun because imagine being there this year and you get AJ Ferrari, who's a psychopath, ripping his shirt off
in a good way, yeah.
Yeah, he's a psychopath in all the right ways.
Yeah.
Right. So I like you always get a guy like that. And AJ Ferrari is the kind of guy that like I get that OSU wrestling has the tradition and they're so good and they've won so many national championships and had so many individual wrestling national champions. But I feel like AJ Ferrari is the kind of kid that would like put OSU wrestling back on the map. Just his aura and his personality.
Zach can speak to this. Let me just first say, so I grew up in a school that didn't have wrestling. Wrestling wasn't offered, so it was never anything that I was super familiar with, or even like I understand it, but like I wouldn't say that I like am fully like comprehensive of all the elements and everything involved in it. So I'm somewhat of a novice, but when I got to Stillwater covering Oklahoma State, I had multiple opportunities to go to Gallagher-Iba and watch Oklahoma State wrestling events. And to have a building completely full of Cowboy fans who all do understand it very well, and to like kind of like just be in that atmosphere, living and dying with that crowd, like going up and down based on what's happening, that's really cool. Like, when everybody yells like two for points, like that's a very cool experience. So I can imagine when you take that to like an NCAA like national scene, that in some ways part of that atmosphere would carry over, I would guess.
Yeah, wrestling in Texas just isn't even on the radar as a sport.
No, not at all.
I lived all over the state, and just not a single school was even an idea of offering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I got to go to the OSU Penn State duel a few years back, and like there had to have been 16 and a half, 17,000 people in Gallagher, which mind you holds less than 14,000. That, and then when Iowa came to town, Nick Piccinini, that pin in the opening. I mean, that was the loudest I'd ever heard Gallagher, and Gallagher is one of the better places to watch a sporting event, at least in the Big 12. And that was it's something that'll put that just raise the hair all over your body. But what's really cool. And it's not on the level of national or collegiate or anything, but Perry High School, I called Perry wrestling for about 4 years.
Yeah.
They have the most state championships of any high school of any sport in the country. And they turn off all the lights, and John Devine Hall is this old gym that still has wooden rafters and like a wooden ceiling, and they built it back in like the early 1900s and really haven't done much to it other than update the lights. They turn all the lights off and they lower a spotlight from the ceiling and have it just over the mat and they're cranking rock music the entire time. It's a hell of a thing, man. If you ever get a chance to go to Perry, Oklahoma and watch high school wrestling, it'll change your life.
I've never been to Perry for that, but I can like to let Aaron in on like what kind of town Perry is. Like, imagine Friday Night Lights, but for wrestling, and that's Perry, Oklahoma.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
I mean, act like next year I'm not going to Perry, Oklahoma to watch some wrestling.
Yeah.
You sold me
It's
on it.
electric.
I don't even know where Perry is.
Yeah, it's Friday Night Lights, but for
there.
wrestling.
Yeah.
Like, that's
It's,
the whole town
it's-
is like obsessed with wrestling. It's amazing.
Every boy from like the 1920s, if you were born and raised in Perry and you went to Perry High School, you wrestled. They don't go more than 2 or 3 years without winning a state championship. I mean, it's It's electric. It's 20 minutes north of Stillwater on I-35, and it's like right off at 35, so it's super easy to get to, and it's an experience, man. It's awesome.
I'm sold.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm sold.
Yeah.
Plus, they have really good hot dogs in the concession stand. So I mean, what more could you want?
Yeah.
I grilled out hot dogs yesterday for opening day, actually.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you guys ever been to an opening day?
I have not. I want to though.
It's
but I would have to be like, if I grew up a big Braves fan.
Yeah.
You know, they were on TBS every weekend. My
Right.
dad's a big Braves fan. So like, if I were going to go to opening day, I would want to go to Atlanta. I don't think I would want to go to, like, I love the Rangers. They're my American League team. But I feel like if I were going to go to my first, I would want it to be in Atlanta.
Yeah, you want to go to opening day for the team that you root for, without a doubt.
Yeah.
But
And then you can just go wherever.
Yeah, but to just be there, because it's I mean, it's a lot like a playoff game in some ways. There's just, you know, if you go to just a regular Major League Baseball game, you know, there's fanfare, sure, but it's just opening day feels like everybody's World Series, because at that point, you know, every fan base is like, all right, new start. We have a chance that maybe this will be the year. There's like this feeling of hope, I guess is the best way to say it, because nobody's lost a game yet. And then you add just the fact that the place is just packed, and there's usually, I mean, the area surrounding the ballpark is just a carnival type atmosphere. You know, I kind of described the College World Series earlier, and you know, the college game day experience as well for college football. That's kind of what opening day is like. It just kind of has that feeling to it.
It's the best weekend for Mets fans, because it's the only weekend Mets fans have of hope.
Yeah, or Rangers fans. I mean, we've never won a World Series, so
yeah.
Oh, poor thing.
Yeah.
I've been lucky enough to check a good handful of things off of my MLB list. Opening day has never been one. I don't know why. It's not like I live that far from, you know, Dallas, or if I really wanted to, I could go to Kansas City or Houston or St. Louis. Like, it's not like it's unreasonable for me to go to an opening day. It's never happened. I've been to a World Series game. I've been to Wrigley. I've been to, you know, I had good, you know, 10 or 11 other stadiums, but opening day, I've just, maybe because it's always been in the middle of the week. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, if you ever have the opportunity, check it out, because it's unlike any normal Major League game. Again, if it's your team, that probably makes a difference, because it's, you know, it's the start for your guys that you're going to watch all year. And then here's the other thing. You're getting two aces on the mound. Like, you're going to watch, you know, both teams' best guy, most likely, go head to head. So that, you know, that also, just from a baseball standpoint, adds to it. But yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. I feel like middle of the week is always like, I feel like that's my excuse as well. I always prep for opening day, and then it rolls around and it's like Thursday at like 12:45, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm working.
Yeah. But see, that's the cool thing. If you're there, you feel like it's like, hey, you know what? Everybody else is working, and I'm here watching baseball on a Thursday.
Fair. I got a question. I brought this up on my radio show yesterday or the day before. With how many baseball fans there are compared to non-baseball fans, do you feel opening day should be a national holiday where everybody gets to benefit and everyone gets off work?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
100%.
I mean, in the same way that the Monday after the Super Bowl should be a national holiday.
Yeah.
Who the hell is expected to work the day after the Super Bowl? Like, come on. We've all stuffed our faces for 24 hours. Like, everybody needs a recovery period. I eat like 18 pounds of food on Super Bowl Sunday every year.
If I'm being honest, I haven't, like, I'm not big into the NFL. And so, like, I don't put a lot of stock into the Super Bowl. Like, it's a thing. Like, I'll watch it, you know, but I'm not like super, super invested, just because I never was a big NFL fan.
Yeah.
I'm a pause, fast forward to the commercials kind of guy.
Well, for me, it's more of like it's a celebration of the last time we're going to watch football for the next 8 months. Really, I mean, I guess that more than
I see it completely different. I see it as a somber, sad day, because we're not going to watch football.
Well, that's what Monday is. That's why I live up Super Bowl Sunday, because it's still there, and then Monday is like depression mode and recovery mode, and
you could watch Canadian League football.
Zach, I don't know what that is. So,
or I guess
you can watch the fan league.
What is it? Is it Division II that's playing right now?
Yeah, Division II. Yeah.
Yeah.
You watch Deion Sanders get stuff stolen from lockers.
Jackson State. Is it Jackson State?
Jackson,
yeah.
Jackson, maybe Jacksonville. Like, and that's the craziest thing to me. Like the biggest highlight out of Deion Sanders' first game coaching was he had stuff stolen from him that turned up.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
just,
so I was about to say,
It was returned, yeah.
it was like misplaced or something.
Yeah.
it just was taken out of the locker and put somewhere else to keep it safe. But he was like, well, didn't keep it safe, did it?
Yeah. All right, guys.
Oh,
That was fun. I really enjoyed that. So I appreciate you guys drafting, and I'll post the drafts and good stuff.
Colby, you got 3 races in Texas this year. You got the All-Star race at Texas Motor Speedway. You're
Okay.
gonna have a NASCAR race in Austin at Circuit of America, which will be the first time they've done it there at a road course.
Okay.
And then
That's a
obviously you got
cool
the
event,
playoff race in October. It's either October or November.
Is that the one at Texas Motor Speedway?
Yeah, so you got I think it's in June. The All-Star race will be at Texas Motor Speedway. That'll be a fun one to go to. The All-Star race weekend is always really cool.
Okay.
And then playoff race. I think it's usually it's like an elimination race in November at Texas Motor Speedway. So those are all 3 options are going to be like
The
super
one
cool.
that happens at Texas Motor Speedway in the fall, I've actually been invited to a couple times, but
Gotta go.
traditionally I'm covering college football and have to work pre and post
Yeah.
game shows during that time period, so I've never been able to take advantage of those opportunities.
So the last 4 years I've had, and it never fails. It never fails. An OSU football game gets scheduled for like 7:30 on Saturday night, and I get home at like 2 a.m, and I'm leaving my house at 6 to drive 4 hours to Texas to spend like 12 hours in the hot sun.
Nice.
Totally worth it. Absolutely worth it.
Yeah. There's perks to going to either race, whether it's Austin or in Fort Worth. Fort Worth, dude, there's a Buc-ee's right across the street. You can go there, and then anytime you're not spinning at the track, just go to Buc-ee's. It's worth it.
That's what we do. Yeah, we that's where we get cleaned up after the race, and it's always really funny because you're all like, it's full of race fans they walk in and they're just covered in like little flakes of rubber, and the smell of sunscreen is permeating through the cinnamon sugar nuts, and it's a hell of a thing.
And then Austin, I don't know what it's going to be like with NASCAR, especially with this year with COVID and all that stuff. But the F Formula One comes to Austin, it's like a full weekend of events. They like bring in like the Killers or like Maroon 5 or like huge like Billboard chart topping like concerts, and like it's a whole weekend of just nonstop events. And I would assume NASCAR is going to be very similar. So
how much of Austin is shut down when they have those races?
Oh, dude, I worked at Hertz the year that the track opened and held their first Formula One event. I think that we booked like 500 cars probably that week, and and I was like at a satellite location, like an hour and a half away or an hour away. Like it's big time. Like there were people coming in and like renting like Lamborghinis from us, not from my location, but just in general. But like, yeah, dude, it's a big deal.
Yeah, the amount of money that is included in F1, like you get like thousands and thousands of billionaires from all over the world descend upon a city. Like I can't remember if it was 16 or 17. I was supposed to cover OSU, Texas, and Austin. And the deciding factor for Robert not to send me was the closest hotel I could get was almost 2 hours away from the stadium, because F1 descended on Austin and booked everything within like a 3-hour radius.
That's amazing.
It was, I F1, an F1 Grand Prix is something that I really want to go to.
I need to get credentialed for that then.
Yeah, let me know.
Media hotel, baby. Media hotel.
Let me know. I'll drive half the way.
Sounds good. Guys, always appreciate it. We'll catch up again soon.
Sounds good.
Right, see ya.
Thanks to Aaron Davis and Zach Lancaster for joining me for this Draft Friday. That was a lot of fun. And again, I will post the draft results, and you guys can tell us who won the Bucket List Sports draft we just had. All right, that is it for this episode of the Colby Daniels Podcast, presented by Artisan Botanicals in Midwest City. Check out their line of natural medicine products. They have Kratom, They have CBD. They have Delta 8, whatever it is you're looking for. Order online, abotanicalcompany.com. Use the discount code Colby Show, COLBYSHOW, discount code Colby Show to save 15% off. Again, when you order online, abotanicalcompany.com. Everybody, have a great day. Stay safe, and I will see you Monday.
The podcast is over.